Hello, welcome to TrekSec. In today's video, we are going to learn how to compress, decompress, and archive files on Linux. Okay, so we will start with archiving files on Linux. On Linux, we call archive files tar files. Instead of calling them archives, in Linux we call them tar or tarring files. So the first, let me open. So this is the name that we use to call archiving files on Linux. This is tarring instead of calling them archiving. So the files are called tar files. So T-A-R. That's the tar. So tar files. So the command that we can use to archive or tar files are, the name of the command is tape archive. Tape archive. And the short form is TAR. That's tar. So mostly on Linux you will see files with the extension .gz. They are the tar files. So first let's try to ls have file 1 file 2 file 3. So let me try to archive them. So it will combine all these files into one file. So now first let's check the size here. This is 6 bytes, 69 bytes and 16 bytes. So let me try to archive or tar this file. So the command is t, and that's tar, then -cvf. Let me clear the screen. So tar -cvf, and the name of the file that you want to, so the file that you want to write, so file.tar, and the file that you want to archive or tar, so file 1, file 2, and file 3. The C here is for create, V here is for verbosity, and F is write to the following file. So to write to the following file, that is the files.tar, and this is the file that you want to archive or tar. So click and enter. Now let me type ls here. Now I have files.tar here. So in case let's say you want to send more files to someone that you want to combine them or archive them into one file, this is how you can use the tar file to archive or tar files on Linux. And let's say if you want to extract this file back to your file 1, file 2, file 3, or let's say you have files, a file ending with tar, that's .tar, and you want to extract the files in it, the command is the same as the tar, that's the tape archive. So tar, but this time you -s for extract, V for verbosity, and F for write to the following file, and the file that you want to extract. So files.tar here, that I want to extract. So just click on enter, ls, and you get your files back. So this is how you can archive or extract files ending with .tar. Now let's move. This is very simple. So let's move on to compressing and decompressing. With compressing files on Linux, we have 3 commands that you can use. First, we have the compress. That's the normal compress, but this is the fastest one, but it will result in the largest file. So let's say it will, using this compress, it will be very fast, but the file or the result file will be very large. And you also have the bzip2 that you can also use to compress and decompress file. That is the slowest and the smallest. So the bzip2 is the slowest among them, but it results in the smallest file. You also have the gzip. So the gzip, let's say the gzip lies between the compress and bzip. So you have the gzip, bzip2, and compress. So first let's start with the compress, ls here. So we have the file.ta. Let's check the size first. And the size for the files.tar is 10,240 bytes. So let's say we want to compress this, that the files or the size will reduce. First let's use the compress. So compress, the name of the file, so files.tar, enter. Now let's type ls to see the size. Now as you can see, the size is 421 bytes, but initially it was 10,240 bytes. So you can use the compress to compress the size of a file. And now this is the extension. So now you have files.tar.z. This is the extension of the file. And if you, let's see, if you want to decompress it, or if you have a file ending with .z and you want to decompress it, the command is simple: uncompress. So compress for compressing, and uncompress for decompressing. So the name of the file, files.tar.z, enter. Now we have our file back. So that's the 10,240. So that's very simple. Using the compress, you can use the compress to compress the file and uncompress to decompress. Now let's move on to the bzip2. the bzip tool, that's the slowest and that but results in the smallest file. So let's say you want to use the bzip tool space the name of the file that you want to compress. So file.tar, enter. Now let's check the size here. As you can see, this is 261, but the compress it was 460. But with the bzip tool it is 261. So as I said, it is the slowest but results in the smallest file. So if you want to, the extension is files.tar.bzip2. So let's say if you want to decompress it back, you use b on zip2. That's one b on zip2. But if you want to compress bzip2, but if you want to decompress b on zip2 and the name of the file, so files.tar, the extension of bzip2. So any file ending with the bzip2, you have to know that it was being compressed with bzip2. So if you want to decompress, you have to use a b on zip2. That's any files ending with bz2. Enter. Now you get our file back. So we have our 10,240 bytes here. Now let's move on to the gzip. The gzip, as I said, it falls between the compress and bzip2. So let's say if you want to compress a file with the gzip, the command is simple: gzip and the name of the file that you want to compress, so files.tar. Enter. Now let's type ls-l to see the size. This is a 251. So that's as I said, this lies between the compressed and the bzip2. So this 254 bytes, and the extension is .gz. So if you see any file ending with .gz, you have to know that it was being compressed with gzip. So you have to use the other way to decompress it. So if you want to decompress a file ending with .gz, you have to use the g on zip. So g on zip, the name of the file that you want to decompress, so file.tar.gz. Enter. ls-l. So we have our file back. This is very simple. So this is how you can compress, decompress and archive files on Linux. Hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe and like for more videos. Thank you.